tide's coming in. I am sinking, so I've got that quick. So welcome back, or if you're a first time viewer, welcome. So I'm down on the beach, as you can see, and the tide is coming in and the sun is setting. I've been sat in the car for about 45 minutes, an hour, waiting for something to happen. It's been really grey sky, and then suddenly, a bit of a gap in the cloud, sun appears and the tide's coming in, and I've got to work quick. I've got my wellies on, but I am sinking. So what am I up to? So got this yacht here, lovely. If the tide wasn't in, it'd be a bit boring because it's just kind of brown sand, but tide coming in gives a great reflection. So I'm just got the yacht on my rule of thirds. I'm trying to get the sun as close to the rule of thirds as possible because there's a nice balance. And I'm on f22, not for depth of field, because depth of field in this image isn't important at all. I'm focused on the yacht, and I'm not really bothered about anything else other than the yacht. The reason I'm on f22 is because when you shoot towards the sun on f22, it gives that beam effect of the rays coming out of the sun because of, I've mentioned this before, because of the way the aperture of the lens is constructed at f22, you get those rays. So that's why I'm on f22, and I'm getting quite nice reflections down here. So it's actually a little bit, so I'm exposing just near the sun, but it's actually a bit bright. I think the image is a bit bright, so I'm going to drop down there. But yeah, that's not bad. I'm just come with me. I'm going to see if I can get that other yacht in. So there's another yacht just down there, but you can probably hear I'm squelching a bit, and the tide. Yeah, look, you see, the tide is coming in there. So it's about another 45 minutes. Whoa, that was a bit of a deep bit. Not sure I can get that. See if I can get both yachts in before I succumb. Well, if I hadn't brought my wellies, whoa, that's a bit deep. If I hadn't brought my wellies, I'd be having trouble. So let's see if I can get those two with the sun in the middle. So what I'm trying to do is, can I get the two yachts with the sun in between? Perhaps I can. Just bear with me while I reset my tripod. Apologies for the unconventional view. But right, here we go. So there's the two. Now let's see if I can get, sorry, I've got to do this while I just straighten things out. Sorry for the right, let's try that. So I'll brighten this so you can see. There's composition, one yacht there, and the sun in the middle. It's not straight. You've got to have a go at that, and then I'm going to overexpose, and then I'll finish the sentence. I'm going to underexpose. When you're shooting at the coast and you've got the horizon, you've absolutely got to get the camera straight, otherwise you end up with an image where it looks like the horizon is dipping off into the distance. And as we all know, the Earth is flat. So sorry, I've been reading some things about flat Earthers recently, and it's kind of a bit weird. But you've got to get the horizon flat, or then you've got to kind of source it out in Lightroom. Anyway, so I'm going to turn off for a second. Sorry, I should just say I've got a filter in just down to the horizon, because there is a bit of a difference between the brightness in the sky. So just a graduated filter down to the horizon. But I'm going to turn you off for a second and see if I can get some other compositions. Bear with me. I've got to work relatively quickly because I think the gap in the clouds is not going to last very long. So I've gone for I've moved slightly, but I've come from a different composition. So hopefully you can see that yacht is there. And what I've done is I've got the the mast and the reflection of the mast exactly on the rule of thirds. So hopefully that lends itself. So I've zoomed in a bit, obviously. I might, you know what I might do? I might go, no, I was going to see what it looked like if I went really overexposed, but nah, it's not doing it for me. But I'll go for that. And then going to underexpose down there, see what that looks like when it's done. So, so hopefully you're getting there. The tide is starting to get quite close to my welly tops, so I'm going to have to move, and there's like a billion flies. But you can see, if you look in that direction, it's really hazy and grey. In fact, my wife texted me, Una texted me, when I was still at home. I was cutting the grass actually. She said, oh, don't bother going out, it's too hazy, but I ignored her and came out anyway. I'm going to do another one there before the sun goes, and then I'm going to one more, and then I'm going to head in that direction a little bit and try and avoid getting completely soaked. Well, the sun's gone behind that little bit of cloud, so just bear with me a second and I'll get that on rule of thirds. I'm obsessing with rule of thirds today, partly because it's quite a kind of minimalist landscape, so kind of the rules of composition apply kind of really more importantly. So because there's almost nothing in the landscape, getting those, sticking to the rules of thirds and kind of all the rules of composition really help you create your image. But because the sun has gone behind that cloud, it's illuminating this bank of cloud up here. So getting quite a nice effect. So hopefully you can see kind of, here's the yachts, but the sun has actually disappeared. So if I take my reading right off that bit of sky there, which is probably the brightest part of the, well, actually maybe that's the brightest part of the image there. I'm just going to underexpose. Like, see, that's pretty nice. I think that's quite nice. You got the kind of greys and pinks. So although the sun's not kind of completely apparent, I think there's a nice kind of balance. And I've tried to get the horizon slap bang in the middle, because if it's a reflection, having the horizon right in the middle, it kind of often works quite well. So yeah, quite like that. It's it's a bit disconcerting because you can probably see the surface of the water is covered with all these bubbles, and when I'm looking at my camera, the bubbles are moving. I keep feeling as if I'm kind of slipping sideways. It's not. It's just one of those kind of optical illusions. But it's a bit disconcerting because I keep thinking the camera and me are kind of tipping over. So I think the sun might come out again. I think the sun might drop down behind those clouds and be kind of real orange disc. So I'm hoping it does, because that'd be quite nice. Because obviously the lower it gets towards the horizon, the less harsh the light is, and it'd be quite nice to get it right on the horizon, just as an orange ball, with this yacht in. But it's probably another 15-20 minutes, and I don't know if my wellies will last that long. But we'll see. I took a couple of images that way as well, just with that yacht, because I quite liked the way it's kind of side on to me, and obviously the sun wasn't involved, but I deliberately overexposed to kind of get a bit of a kind of harsh view. But yeah, I think the sun's definitely going to be, just when it drops below that bank of cloud, I think the sun's just going to be an orange ball. Oh, I'm a bit stuck. Anyway, I'll wait for that to happen, and I'll see you again soon. Here we go, sunrise on the horizon, and hopefully getting some images. So it's it dropped down from behind the clouds, but I think there's a tiny little bit of cloud on the horizon, so I'm not going to get that kind of perfect. You won't be able to see it on the GoPro, but it's almost as if the bottom of the sun has been cropped off. But what I'm doing, I moved a bit closer to the yacht, so yacht's on the rule of third and the sun is on the other rule of third, so it's nicely balanced. Still on f22 because I want that kind of sunburst effect, no pun intended. So that's giving me a 2-second exposure, which is fine because there's a bit of these bubbles are moving around a bit. So let's see, is it? Yeah, it's providing, I think, a little bit of movement there. Yeah, maybe a little bit of movement there. So I'm wondering what it's going to be like when the sun's completely gone down, whether there's any light going to come up on the oh, excuse me, bit hay fever, whether there's any light going to come up on the clouds. I might just zoom in a little bit more, see what the wrong way, and, just a little bit, see what that looks like. I actually think the image with it on the rule of thirds works a bit nicer. So do that, go back. So pretty pleased with that, given that it looked like nothing was going to happen, but you get that small window of opportunity when the sun kind of appeared from behind the clouds for maybe 20 minutes in total. Some nice pinks. I might look that way now. When the sun's gone down completely, I might switch and just see if I can get a nice long exposure of that yacht. The challenge you have when you're photographing boats and things and the tide is moving up and down is that they swing round. So that previously was facing more that way, so it was a bit more side on. Now it's swung round and it's facing a bit more out to sea. So not as completely as I'd want it. Loads of sandflies covering me, but it should be all right. Sun's more or less gone, just the very top. Some nice pinks in the sky, so hoping that works out quite well. And my right foot had got sunk in the sand, so yeah, let's see how that one goes. I think that's it now. No point taking any more photos looking towards the sun because it's gone. Just going to have a look at that way, and then maybe in a few minutes we'll get some light shine up on the clouds. No real colour in the sky when it was still a salmony pink, but it didn't kind of beam onto the clouds as you thought. But thought I'd two things. One, I'm now going for a long shutter speed because the tide has been in, it's now going out again, and all these bubbles are moving. So if I can get a long shutter speed, I get that movement of those bubbles. But just a hint, when you're using live view, if you want to check, so this is an image where there's hardly anything there other than that boat, so it's absolutely vital that the boat is in focus. So when you're using live view, you can zoom in obviously and check that the boat is in focus. So that's a 10 times zoom and it's absolutely in focus. So just important. So I'm now getting a 5-second shutter speed on that. It's moving relatively quickly. So I'm just going to check to see if the movement's too much. Maybe a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do, because I was on f22 for the sun, I'm going to drop down to f16, and that gives me a 2.5 second shutter speed. So let's see how that went. See, I think, wrong one, sorry. I think the movement on 2.5 seconds is there's a bit more definition on 2.5 seconds. I don't know, I'll have to look at them side by side. You probably can't see. I'll have to look at them side by side on a big screen to see which I prefer. But I think the 5 second, there might be too much movement. The 2 seconds probably just about enough. But I'm going to take a couple more, might even drop down. F11, no, going the wrong way, F11. That gives me a kind of 1.3 seconds shutter speed. So I'm going to check that. I don't know. Oh, keep doing that. I'll see which one I prefer. The really heavy movement one or the one with a bit less movement. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the trip. That's probably it for now. I've got to work my way back out, getting they're not biting, but the sandflies are just a bit irritating. So got my way back out. My car's only about 100 yards away. But another tip, my tripod is in the sea. So make sure if you're ever out and you've got your tripod in salt water, make sure you clean it off properly. And when I get home, I'll spray it all with WD-40, because salt water and tripods don't mix very well. So hope you enjoyed the trip. It's quite a quick one. I'm maybe 15-20 minutes from home. Maybe take one or two more, but I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye.